Flying back around again.
Hi everyone and welcome to the Shuffle podcast, 11th episode right here. We have today Chelsee. How are you, Chelsee?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm so excited about this because we have like a huge and super interesting topic, which is the Styles Defined Battle League that we'll talk in a moment. But first off, for the people who don't know you, don't know much about you, let's begin a little bit of who are you and where do you come from and how do you get into shuffling?
Okay, I love this question, and I never know how deep to go on this because I feel like my journey has, like my entire journey has led me here, as everyone else's, right? But first of all, I'm Chelsee Ramos. I come from Madison, Wisconsin, which is a place that the arts are a little bit suppressed here. We don't really have music quite the same as, our neighboring big city way down there in Chicago, 2 hours south of us, where house music was born. And then we got techno music right over in Detroit, close to home, but very slow here. Very slow. We don't have any shufflers. We don't have the music that it takes to get shuffling to move in our city. So I kind of didn't have an intro to it here. Let's see, I've been an athlete my whole life, so love tumbling, love stunting, love playing all types of sports, always very, very active, but I never liked cardio. I'm not a runner. I don't like to do anything that makes me work that hard. I would rather flip and spin my body than run a mile any day. So when I went to my very first festival in 2018, Electric Forest. And I actually didn't really see too many shufflers there. I just saw a lot of dancers. I did a lot of dancing. And my boyfriend at the time had sent me a video of Van Secco after the festival and said, hey, you kind of naturally are already moving like this. You should try this. And I didn't think too much of it. I had already seen a video of Elena probably a year prior, and remember thinking whoa, that was really cool, but I don't even know where to begin, what the heck is that, right? So I just never, it intrigued me, but I never jumped on it at that point. But since now I had this girl and this name, I was able to look into it, and I was just well, I don't like cardio, and this seems like a way that I could maybe get my cardio in, right? So I tried it, and then 3 days in, I was just silly obsessed. I couldn't stop doing it. I looked up so many videos. Again, very highly trained athlete. I was a college athlete, been training, in training mode my whole life. So it was not hard for me to be well, this is my new thing. And I spent 3 hours a day on it. You could not get me to stop. Especially that first year and a half, I just went crazy over it. So definitely started out hybrid, not knowing anything, that I don't know, it's just so confusing when you first get started because you look up how to shuffle and you get everything, everything, right? So I was just doing everything until I started to realize I have some really special inspos. So Papa Turnt was one of them, Mark Temple was one of them, Ness Edith was one of them, and I realized that these certain inspos were doing a certain style of dance that I was not finding. I was not understanding on how to find what they were doing. And once I did find it and I found these answers, I realized, holy crap, our community has a bit of a problem to where a new person cannot come in and find what they want to learn. Thus, the birth of Elev8ed Movement. Elev8ed Movement was literally meant to be, hey, this is cutting shapes. Hey, this is shuffling. I don't want to tell you better, worse, anything. I just want to give you a few breakdowns of these movements, and I want you to choose what your body likes to do best so that you can venture out into those. And really, ever since I started Elev8ed, which happened so organically, I honestly, it's so weird how it happened. There were so many of these group chats, accountability group chats going on where we would just dance together for a month. I curated one where I put moves on each day. People liked it so much that the demand was more for it. Created a whole program out of it, and now we're here where there's a whole fundamental program that teaches you ground up Melbourne shuffle and your base shapes as well. And it just I realize like how big of a problem that is in our community, that the word shuffling is so confusing for people. They can't like they can't figure out where to go next, I think, besides looking up shuffling. So probably not so much of a problem where you're at, because you all have taken it and said like you have to find it out there. But I think in our country it took a hot minute for some definition to come, and for some like programming and actually saying like this is what this dance is and this is what this dance is. And you know, they are all shuffling, right? They are all shuffling, and it totally depends on where you came from to what you're going to call it.
I think about like this specific topic, I think that what is missing right now, well, not missing because in some way that I know people that is trying to work their way in towards this direction, but I think that like teaching shuffle, separating the styles is good because you inform the people about the different styles, but it's also very like you start and you don't have like a specific path. Like there's some people that if you have to choose between 5 things that or 5 sub styles that you don't know anything about them and you're just getting started, it's like very difficult to know where to start. So I think, well, at least when what I'm working on is to try to understand the shuffling, like keeping aside the styles and like working on the style and how to be creative and how to change moves and how to be able to mix steps. And this way I'm getting to the like every time I understand it better, but I get to the point that it's super easy to mix styles like in the same round. And to me this is the future, and not
Yes.
just teach one style. Like you can get very good at one style, you just practice and focus on these things in specific, but I think that if you just focus on one style you lack a lot of other things.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I think that's why it's important. So the original Elev8ed Movement Challenge had 6 different styles in it, 6 different styles of footwork, where you would spend like 3 or 4 days like dabbling in that bounce, dabbling in that foundation, like just really like to see like what calls to my body, like what does my body most like, so that I can kind of walk in that direction. But like people are coming to learn from me because I'm a hybrid dancer. I dance like lots of different styles in my movement, and I think that's why people come to learn my style, which is a lot of styles. But I've tried my best to like break it down and allow them to try all of these things, but also teach them how to transition between them. Because like if you're gonna integrating them, like as you're saying, is beautiful, but if you don't know what you're integrating, you can actually like lose out on that movement. You can change it and put it into shuffling, but to learn something at its roots is really cool too. And like to learn the bounces of each style is really cool too, because if you're only learning one of the bounces, you might like, you don't know what you're missing out on that other bounce that could flow into shuffling as well, and like change up the tempo, change up the level, change up whatever it is. The bounces are so different within all of these different footwork styles, you know, like the bounce actually changes, the absorb changes. So like actually studying that kind of stuff, and like that's where like I'm a movement freak. I've been teaching tumbling for over 10 years. I've been physically tumbling for over 20 years. I've been really studying the body, art of movement, the physics of the body. So like when I came in here and I saw that no one was really talking about these dances in this way yet, I really was like, whoa, let me just break these down. Let me try to figure out what this feels like on my body versus what it looks like when they do it. Let me see if I can get people to understand the bounce and understand the shapes and understand the angles and understand all of the different things that they then can control and make their own style. What I do is provide tools to curate your own style. I never want to tell anybody how to dance. I just want to give them the right tools in order for them to do their thing. Because what happens often is we end up copying each other, right? Like we see someone do a cool move, we copy the move, then it's in our flow. I'd rather teach you that baseline move, where that came from, what that bounce is, and then allow you to expand on it in your own style instead of copying your favorite person and your biggest inspiration.
Agreed. Yeah, in my experience teaching the tools and teach the people how to be creative, it's definitely the best way, and it's what students enjoy the most. You know, people who always do choreographies or things like this, like it's okay, you can have a lot of fun, but the long term you will get burned. And I have people in my classes who came burned, saying, "Yeah, I've been doing choreographies and I need some freestyling," and because like they don't know how.
Yeah, exactly. They don't know what they don't know yet, and sometimes they don't even know what they need. So honestly, I in our space like here in Madison, like I feel like some like level of trickery, right? Like let me just teach you this sure foundation choreo, but within that you learned the foundation, you just learned the bounce, and now like I'm gonna use that little choreo to just teach you how to transition, I guess, and like to move from there, like the prompt of inspiration on how to use something rather than the exact way that I move my body replicated in your body is a little bit different. I think choreography is a really good tool, but you're right. It if it's not getting boring, I think we might be dancing for the wrong reason. Like dancing is meant to be a very, very free thing. It's meant to be self-expression. So if it's always used in a template, we don't really get to like fully experience dance, I think, in the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's talk about this project you were talking. You were mentioning Elev8ed Movement, and that's like the first thing happening before the battle. So, what's the reason you say, okay, I need to start this project, and how's the first idea, and how are your first steps? How you get to the point where you are today?
Okay, so yeah, like I said, this it was for all of basically 2019. I dabbled in and out of these group chats. No structure, just shufflers saying, "Hey, I want to commit myself to a month of shuffling alongside of you guys. Like, let's send in videos to each other. Let's just hold each other accountable. Like, just little accountability group chats." And I was in them a lot because I was growing very fast and I wanted to push myself. I wanted to push other people. I wanted to I was not even the one starting the group chat sometimes. I just was the one in them. And I was very consistent about it. And then come December 2019, after EDC, I had started Melbourne Shuffling like shortly before EDC. So like August of 2019, I started Melbourne Shuffling. And that was when I started becoming very intentional about my practice. Before then, it was just like, again, I saw them do that cool move. I am always very particular about my own style. So I was never like trying to replicate necessarily outside of like the beginning 2 months. But I was that person that was just like, I like that move, take the move, put it in my flow. Instead of like learning these certain styles of dances and like how do I actually get to that feel that I'm really liking seeing in people like Edith or like Papa Turner or anyone like that, you know? So what I did was I took a month and for every day I had a song and a move. So each person would dance to that particular song and they had this move now that most of them were like, what the heck is that? And I'm like, how have I only been doing this for 1 year? And I know all these names of these moves and I know all of this, like I could categorize them a little bit, like break it down into Charleston, break it down into shapes. Here's some shuffling, here's the T-step, right? So like I understood these breakdowns and I was again realizing that like, whoa, there's a lack of this. There's a lack of understanding and definition within especially this like new gen of shuffling in America. So I realized, okay, well, this problem is bigger than this little group chat that I created this month, and people were asking for more. When's the next one, Chelsee? When are you going to start the next one? And I was like, whoa, this is big. So this name that I gave it, Elev8ed, which has an 8 in it, it's beyond shuffling. The 8 is for the 8 limbs of yoga. I won't go all the way through that, but I highly recommend looking up the 8 limbs of yoga. Everyone thinks that yoga is stretching. Maybe some people might put breathing in there. There are 8 limbs in yoga, and it's a life practice, right? It can be applied to like literally everything. I apply it directly to shuffling as well. Like it's a life practice. It should be applied to all life. So integrating both shuffling and yoga, I think, is really so beautiful. So I took yoga and I put it right in there. I said, this is something that the shuffle community already is. We're already like really like enlightened people. We go to the rave, like we see each other in this light, right? Like we already are in this spiritual realm, but so many people do not do yoga. And I'm like, you guys are all like already yogis that don't even like know that realm is there yet for you to use as a tool, as like just, yeah, again, life practice. So I kind of just integrated that and said, if you really want to learn all this shuffling, I need you to learn this too, because it's very important. It's very important to take care of your body. It's very important to understand your body. So I just kind of put it in there. There was 8 days out of the month were yoga days. And then also, like, obviously along with yoga and committing yourself to something for a whole month, there's going to be a lot of mindfulness going on during that month too. And I am very big on that. I'm very big about watching your thoughts. I'm very big about, keeping a journal and keeping track of like where you're at physically, mentally, emotionally. So every day of the challenge also has a mindfulness prompt, a journal prompt for you to like explore mind, body, and soul movement throughout the month. So it changed a lot. The very first, it's funny because when I made it official, I videotaped myself doing tutorials for 30 days. Like I put them all up on this challenge. The challenge was completely free. I never wanted to charge money for it. Like I just wanted to create a tool for this community that I saw a lack here. I wanted to create this tool and I wanted to give it to them as a gift. Now I have really good friends in my life who came to me and they were like, this is not a free product, Chelsee. This needs to you need to set some boundaries and protect yourself in what you're doing, because this is really big and like you are doing a lot, like you're putting a lot of yourself into this. So let's reevaluate. And each month it grew, it got better. I raised the price a little bit and now it's at this place that I feel really good about it. I feel like the price point is not too high for the amount of value that comes out of it. It's crazy that I can, like, people's lives are changing going through my program. Like they are calling me crying. They are having life epiphanies. They are like truly going from the 3D into the 4D, if that makes sense to you or anyone watching this, right? Like they are truly understanding that this is so far beyond the physical realm of movement. Like we are truly connecting to something deeper inside of us, which is connecting us to something way grander that we are all connected to, right? So it's pretty cool watching what's happened, not only to Elev8ed, which I feel like is source creating through me. Like it's so like I didn't have plans for this. Elev8ed Movement was meant to be my yoga and shuffle retreat like way in the future. Like this was like this name birthed and I wrote it in a beautiful journal like a long time ago, but like I didn't think that it was going to be this first. But this is a month-long retreat, basically. You're choosing yourself and you're healing for a month. And it's just been really cool to watch not only this grow, but to watch the people grow through this. It's just inspiring. I can't ask, like, I have no idea how it even got here. I mean, I just told you how it did, but it still just like blows my mind every day that I've created something that feels like it's bigger than me. Like, how did I create this? I'm still trying to step into this myself. It's just it's a mindset over anything. Elev8ed Movement is a mindset that we are all consistently trying to elevate into this raising of the human collective, basically.
So right now, Elev8ed is being a platform where people can sign up for this 1 month program or experience. I don't know what you call it exactly. And they get like this, as you said, with 8 yoga days and the other ones, like in the inside. How's like explain me a little bit of how's the structure or what is the experience of the it has a name or something, or is just like Elev8ed is just this, or like explain me a little bit more in deep. What do you do in this month?
Yeah, so Elev8ed Movement itself, like I said, like this is me. Like I am Elev8ed Movement. My partner is Elev8ed Movement. A lot of the people that surround me are Elev8ed Movement. This is a concept, right? At first I was just teaching private lessons, like, hey, do you want to elevate your movement? Come work with me, right? So like it's a concept. The challenge birthed and this challenge that is running, like right now, it's not currently running, but the challenge that I am running right now is a fundamental challenge. So there's levels to it, right? Like at first I was trying to put, like the very first version of the challenge that came out last year, I put in every single day, if you're beginner, work on this. If you're intermediate, work on this. If you're advanced, work on this. in one day. So what was happening was the beginners were coming in and trying to learn the whole day. And it was just, I realized very fast, like, okay, great idea, Chelsee, but like we got to divide all of these up. So now we have 3 separate months for fundamental, level up, and advanced. So during this fundamental one, we spend like literally 3 or 4 days on both the running man and the T-step. Different ways to change your running man, different ways to strike in your running man, what the baseline Melbourne running man looks like. The 14 days or something doing Melbourne shuffle. We touch slides, kick, spins, which is like a day of each. A lot of different like transitional conversations, a lot of mentality conversations, tricks, and creativity. And then the ending of the month, the last like 9 days or so, are shapes. So I go through like the shapers, blade, figure fours. I just teach some of the what I would consider base shapes, what I learned first in shapes. And shaping is different, right? Because there's not that like solid foundation. So we create them, right? Like that crossblade is a somewhat of a foundation in Spain, right? Where like the more crisscross or Charleston is going to be like your more foundation in like UK, but really they're all foundation everywhere, right? But like I would say that those two are kind of foundational, and I try to teach them that even though there's not technically a home base, that can be a home base for your movement when you're doing shaping. But it's cool. It's cool to teach them separately, but also to show them like I am a hybrid shuffler. Like I can put them together, and here's a good way to do so. And then obviously after this, I think that's a good like foundation. Again, it's supposed to be the foundation fundamental challenge. But outside of that, like what are the extents of shuffling? What does that word mean? Like literally by dictionary definition, it means to slide your foot on the floor. So like at what point do we include and disclude a certain footwork style from and into shuffling, you know? So like I love with Elev8ed, I want to like expand the brain. I want to show people that people are taking moves from house dancing, putting them in their shuffling and calling it shuffling, but I want to show them where they got that move from. You know, like I want to teach house as houses so that like they can see that, they can feel that bounce, they can choose to step in that direction, or they can choose to integrate. You know, like I want to give people those options, but I want to teach it at a very fundamental, very like historical level of the actual dance.
Mm-hmm. I think like when it comes to what do we consider shuffling, I think we don't need to just keep it to the moves, like as you said, like sliding your feet through the floor, but we need to consider shuffling through history. So shuffling, like the dance shuffling, like as the essence of the dance, like the of what we know it today, is born in the 80s in the raves with house music. So anything before this house music raves is not pure is not shuffling. Like you can see the moves, but it doesn't have the essence that that was born with. So like then, you know, for example, Charleston steps are prior, like are from the 20s, like jazz dance and these styles, and shuffler starts taking these moves and putting into this. So these moves pretty much, depending on how you execute, can look exactly the same or a little bit different with some little tweaks or whatever you want to add. But I think like there's elements that were born like in the raves, and this is like the starting point, and everything that is not sharing this starting point or growing from this movement, you know, something that was existing parallel from the shuffle origins or prior, is like it's not shuffle dance. You can use it and it can look good, like, but it's not shuffling indeed. So to me, you know, you have like the the style that was starting developing in the UK, and then you have in Australia that started to develop into Melbourne, then Malaysian, and then Cali, and all these styles. And through the UK path, we have the shapes, the conditioning dance, and I think there's not many more like styles. Then people start to do hybrid and all these things. But to me, for example, not all the footwork styles are shuffling. Like if
No,
so
no.
if they have like a different foundation, or their origin is different, even though they can do moves that are the same or look pretty much the same, like you need to understand, like we need to go more in deep than just the steps. And
I agree.
that's what I've been working on these last months, to find out and how to explain in class that what's the essence of shuffling, and not talking about steps.
Yeah,
That's a
I agree.
and that's a challenge,
I
because how do you get someone that has been dancing for a lot of years and tell them that the shuffle foundation, like the essence of the shuffling, is not the T-step and the running man or the Charleston, that there's things even deeper, and
yes.
that exist, that are go before than these movements.
Yeah,
And
and it's that freedom that comes along with raving, right? Like it's the literal, like it really is, it's an essence. You're right, it is an essence. It's a way in which we move through these moves that embodies shuffling, because like you can be doing the steps, and I tell this to my students all the time. You can be doing the steps, but you can still not carry the essence of shuffling. Like you can be doing the running man and T-step, but like if that pure expression of freedom and like what shuffling really is not present in your dancing, you're not going to get and reap the benefits of what shuffling can do for you too, right? I hear you so loud, but how do you define to a dancer, right? Because I'm surrounded by 10, 15-year dancers that don't shuffle. How do I explain that to them? That's such a beautiful question, because we feel it as shufflers, we can feel it, but how do you put it into words? Like outside of these
and
steps.
and people who has been dancing a lot of years, who they predict that they're predicating that shuffling foundation is running man T-step, which is but when you want to, because if you think that the shuffle is doing running man, T-step, slide, Charleston, kicks, spins, and all these things, then like you keep the possibilities really really small, and you need to understand what things that why is the running man look like this? Why does it look like this in shuffling and it looks different in hip hop? Like the move is the same, but what is doing it like in shuffling like this? So when you understand that, you start to see that it doesn't matter if you don't do the running man or this step. They're very important. Like I think that you need to use these steps to be shuffling too. Like if you do a whole round and you practically don't do any running man or T-step, I think it's very strange. But it's the other way around. You don't need to be always doing the running man and the T-step. Like you can get creative, respecting the essence, because like we don't need to rely the essence on just one step, two steps, or three steps, because we then we feel attached. And a step is a combination of moves that is like this, and you can build variations, but you are like in this circle. But there are elements that give you freedom in shuffling, and this is like, now every new student that I get, I make them go through that, and they're like, maybe they've been shuffling for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and they're like, oh, I never thought about that. And I'm like, yeah.
And see, I feel like I'm having those same like epiphanies with people, but I'm doing it through I'm giving them bare bone, like basically drills on how to get the T-step down in the first place, but also like prompting the amount of versatility and variability that comes with the T-step. Like I can T-step for an entire song and like almost not repeat myself. Like the T-step is extremely endless, and I don't think we fully sometimes understand like how much is in the T-step and can be in the T-step. That move is just like everything. And so like I hear what you're saying on it being somewhat of a box. If we want to keep, especially like way old like Melbourne like mindset, straight Running Man T-step, right? Where it's pretty basic, but then like rocking kind of changed the T-step a little bit and like got it to like move around a little bit. So now I teach it in a compass direction. I teach textures. I teach ways to strike the floor. I teach ways to lift the knee. I teach ways to lift the foot. I teach shapes to draw on pathways of how to strike the foot. Like again, a lot of tools. And so like I have people that have been shuffling for like 5 years that come back and they're like, I didn't even know anything about shuffling basically until like you explain the T-step in this way. And like it's so like when you're saying this, like it's almost a little bit taken away from the importance of foundation, and like to know foundation at its truest form and to like understand it as fully as possible truly gives freedom of expression. Comes through the actual understanding of the foundation. That's where you can expand from. But if you don't spend time with that foundation, like are you going to understand the dance as it's supposed to be? And again, like we're talking about two separate dances a little bit, because UK shapes and hybrid shuffling in UK is different than the Melbourne shuffle. It's very different. Like I wouldn't teach to shapers in UK, I mean, unless I was trying to teach them the Melbourne shuffle, I wouldn't teach them this same structured drill that I've created for the T-step, right? Like I wouldn't take them through that, even though it would expand that style a lot. But like these are a little bit different styles, but they're doing this now. Like whether all of us like it or not, all of the styles are just doing this. Like in my Melbourne shuffle, breaking down in an 8 count of shapes is dope. Throwing a shape, just one shape, into my shuffle to create a new combo, dope. Like meant to be done for sure. But outside of like, I think it's just really important to know where your home base is and to expand upon the home base, instead of just running around picking every which like way and not quite knowing where to go home. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like I'm not sure if you differentiate shuffle and shapes or not, because like you mentioned it like two times, or it's just like how you talk and how you refer to these things.
I would say I feel like, yeah, that's a big thing, especially in the States, right? Because we do have both. Like we have people that shuffle and use the T-step as foundation, and that is where their home base is. They veer off of the home base, throw some tricks, combos, cool stuff, come back to the home base. Just as you would in any other style of dance, that foundation lives through the dance. It is what you return to. You return to the groove, the bounce, foundational moves. So like there's definitely that in the States. And then there's also shaping, where like they'll throw the T-step, but it's just another move. It's not a foundation. It's not being used foundationally in the style. So for me, it's almost like disrespectful to cutting shapes, even though cutting shapes is shuffling. Cutting shapes is definitely shuffling. Shuffling began in UK, I would say, pretty simultaneously with the birth of electronic music in general all over the world, right? Like I think we all just started to jump around to this music that was kind of spreading through the world simultaneously in parallels, like you said, different spaces. Now I hope one day we actually, like, it sounds like we're coming down to an agreement maybe on like where truly it did start first, but like who really cares at that point? It doesn't really matter. It's, you had shuffling there. It looked a little different than the shuffling they had in Melbourne. Like they are different. And if we don't honor them as different styles, that's like, I don't know, because they are different. Are they all under this category of shuffling? Yes, absolutely. Shaping was just given that name because y'all were like not allowed in the clubs, right? So it changed the name, and I think that's really dope. And I think rocking is the same thing for the Melbourne Shuffle. But like, I think it's important to allow them their separate lights, because it's like it's taking away from cutting shapes, and cutting shapes should be allowed to have their own name like that. You know what I mean? Because it is the separate style. I have a question for you, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Cutting shapes in like UK versus, okay, so like Spain, shapes look very similar to free stepping, which happened in Brazil, right? Different strike, different bounce, looks different a little bit, but similar actual shapes being cut. I don't understand timeline. How did it happen in Brazil and happen so similarly?
I have an issue with the free step, because free step is born taking moves from different styles and putting them together. So
Okay.
it doesn't, like, they have some basic or foundation step, but they're not steps. Like, I don't know free step like in deep, but I know one of the guys. He's from Argentina, that also is a shuffler for a long time, and he was literally the first, and was in the group of the first pioneers of the free step. And free step starts basically with some shuffle moves and other like tutting moves and things like this. They put together, and they keep dancing, and they evolve it, but they take things from shuffling. So it's not that they are.
So you're saying it's after? It came after everything? I can't find.
Definitely,
It's hard for me to
definitely
timeline.
after shuffling. Yes, definitely after.
Okay.
I know it's like I don't know the year exactly, but between 2005 and 2010, 2005, 2010.
Oh, okay.
Between
I didn't ever see a timeline on Brazil, and I know like Brahmas, Brazilian Malaysian shuffle is down there as well. And then you look at free step, and you're like, whoa, that looks a lot like the shapes that they cut in Spain. So like,
yeah, but it's because the music, when they started dancing, cutting shapes in Spain, the music was also, the music hitting here, it was more towards pure house, EDM music, than just pure house or UK garage, which was the music playing in London. So it also added a new, like, more stomping emphasis, because you have harder beat or more bass lines. So also, like, you react to the music, like the music changes, you also change, like you go with the music. So it was just Spain, like the Mark Torr and the guys who were the ones starting the shapes in Spain. They took it from the UK, and they started doing it here, and through the music they were listening, it developed this way. So and here, like, people never talk about Spanish shapes. Like, it has never been a thing here. So when people from the outside tell us, hey, Spanish shapes, and we're like, no, it's just cutting shapes.
That's so interesting though. So y'all don't differentiate at all, stylistically from regions, but
No.
they look so different.
Yeah, but the core things are the same. It's just
Yeah.
more energy or less energy, or wider steps or smaller steps, or focusing a little bit more on the groove, or more on the feet. So to me, it's just ways of like, you can dance shuffling, being focused more on the stomping. You can be more groovy. You can be more technical. You can flow more. You can be more like, I don't know how to say it, like more like robotic, with doing like I don't know, like sharp and fast moves.
Crisp
Yeah, I don't know, like, the perfect adjective for this, but there's a lot of ways of execution. But if you remain the base intact, to me it's a nonsense to label and label and label, because it's a never ending thing. Someone thinks of a concept, they come up with a new step, and they start to dance a little bit different, because they know about one concept, another style, and they learn about another concept, and they then change the way they dance.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? Name it again? That's why to me it doesn't make sense at all. Like,
So, do you feel that same way then about like the Malaysian shuffle versus the Melbourne shuffle?
um, I can, depending, you know,
Because
depending on who dances. Like I have never, I've seen people, and I know the things that make the Malaysian more Malaysian than Melbourne, but like I can tell the difference. So like, but to me, like when it comes to the time to dance, to me it doesn't make sense to just keep one style. At least to me, like I know there's people that like one style and want to keep Melbourne side to side kicks, slides, pa pa pa, and some people just want to shapes and crossing and footwork and all these things. But I like to like I would love to learn from these styles and then say, okay, what things does my body like to do,
it's
and
your style,
yeah.
your own style, right? Like that's ultimately like what we are all here to do is cultivate our own style and to be freestyle dancers, right? But again, I think that's where we got to be careful as like leaders in the community of we want to encourage that. We want to encourage people cultivating their own style and their freestyle. But it can, you talk a lot about like it's important to honor the history, right? Like to like that should be our guide. So in that understanding a style and what makes that style, I think is important if you're going to like be taking the moves and putting them in. Yeah, otherwise you're just like ripping it, and like it's like, I mean, at a grand scale of everything can be like cultural appropriation, right? So like it's really important to know what you're looking at and like honoring if you're going to be integrating it into what you're doing. Because for me, the Malaysian shuffle and the Melbourne shuffle are like completely different. Like there is a running man in both, similarly like shaped maybe, but very different. The way it pulls, the way it lands, the way it absorbs, the way that it strikes
It's
the
completely
floor.
different.
So different, so different. And the T steps, you've got like the clean Melbourne T step that's actually creating a T, which is, you know, why it's called a T step, right? So, and then you got Malaysian that is like that set of T steps that makes up the Malaysian and their variations. So different, like so different, the way that it sinks, the way that it slides, the way that it hits the heel first. Like there's a lot of actually feeling when I do Moss like correctly, there's a lot of feeling similarly to stepping, and honestly sometimes cutting shapes can feel like stepping to me too because of the strike of the heel. So like there's just like there's so many different things again that I've like broken down and been like an analyst of movement, figure out like what is happening to the body that makes it feel that way, and how do I get somebody to get inside their own body and feel and truly embody the style you're saying outside of the steps. So for me, yes, that's the essence of the rave, that's the essence of freedom, that's the essence of exploration and creativity. But like right next to that is the bounce, like the what actually makes a dance style. Like if you go into hip hop, if you go into house, if you go into any like other dance style, there's this bounce, there's this groove that you feel as the essence of that dance. So like in the shuffle styles, sure, they all mix really well together because they're all shuffle styles, but like each of them have their own bounce that feels super different. Like if you actually truly are in there studying, the bounces feel a lot different. Like, and it's hard for me to find my Malaysian bounce right now because I've been studying Melbourne for so long, you know, and like all of these different bounces, they feel different. And I think it's really like, it's cool. I'm a nerd, like Loki, like obviously you see this, I'm a nerd about this stuff. And I think it's really cool. But at the end of the day, you watch me dance and you're not going to say that's strict Melbourne, that's strict Malaysian, that's strict shapes. They're going to say like, she's shuffling. All in all, like it is the essence. So I think it's important.
Yeah,
it's important.
So that's why, like to me, in shuffling, because you know when shuffling was born, upper body was free form. Like there wasn't a specific bounce or groove like that it was inherent. Like you have in shuffling, we always have this micro bounce because we're like lifting and landing our feet. But that's why I I put my work this last, well, it's been longer than that, but like I've really come to have like a really a good class teaching the shuffle essence, which no matter the shuffle style, uh, everything there is shared by all the styles, and it's not about steps. It's just about how like like it's very easy. You just need to go to the origins. What were they doing when starting the dance? Shuffling, like dragging the foot in the ground. Okay, one thing. Stomping, stomping, just stomping.
That's tribal. That goes way beyond us. We're all trying to connect to
Yeah,
source. We're all trying
hopping,
to connect to
jumping,
core. Yeah.
jumping, pa 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 pa. Like when you go there, you start thinking, you start seeing that shuffling is not born at this step. The T step comes after, when you combine stomping and shuffling with the other leg, and you have pa pa pa. But right at the beginning, just stomping and shuffling. So it's, to me, when you come down to this point, there's like the lines of the styles, they disappear when you just focus on this. You're like, man, keep stomping. It doesn't matter if you do your running man straight or a little bit to the side, like Malaysian, or crossed, more shaping style. Like you're stomping, you're coming from the top, and you're like stomping. It doesn't matter if you do flat foot, heel, toe. You're stomping. So then, obviously, when you want to level up and have a very and build and building complexity and develop more the rounds, obviously you need to go in all the details and have the control and know the grooves and know a lot of things. Like it's never ending. It's endless. But when people is starting, this is very important for me to set it up to them, because they start from a point where if they keep doing this, they are shuffling. And yes, the running man and T-step, they are super important. The Charleston is super important. They need to know how to slide. They need to know how to spin. They need to know how to face directions. They need to know that upper body, there's no like anything defined that you should do. It's free form. We can teach our moves. We can teach different grooves, different things to do. But there's nothing set that this is what you should be doing with the arms. So it's just going through history. That's why to me history is very important, because it helped me understand how the dance was starting, how it was developing, and watching what people has been doing, and say, okay, if you really want to teach like the really essence of the shuffling and how it was starting and how is like, and you really want to put that into words and have a class with good explanations, with exercises, with these advices for the people, for the students, you really need to go back and watch history and see what was happening. If not, you're like inventing. You're just coming up with, oh, this makes sense. Let's call it this name, or let's do this. No, this is foundation. Why? It makes sense. Well, like you need to contrast. You cannot say, yeah, this is foundation of this dance because I say so.
Yeah, no, and see what's crazy too is like, I mean, I'm having this conversation with you, and you're in one part of the world, right? Like, and you're in that part of the world, so your history is spoken from that part of the world. So like this, I mean, like, will there ever even be like an answer of if it? I personally think it started in UK, right? Like, but is it like, is that clarified? Like, do we know that like it was there before it was in Melbourne? Because Melbourne's history, like what it says is like before the running man was even added to the dance at all, this was called the shuffle, and that the shuffle was the T-step, the actual like move of the T-step traveling back and forth. They called that the shuffle. It wasn't called the T-step.
It was called
It was called
the T shuffle, I think.
T-shuffle. Okay, okay. I haven't heard that, but like I could imagine that.
Yeah, like
Like,
I heard and I've been told that from OGs that at the beginning it was called this step. It was called like the T shuffle
the
because you were
shuffle.
like doing the
Yeah.
T and you were shuffling.
Yep, yep. And it was like when you look back at like the history of it in Melbourne, really clear that like it was just that. And so like when I am talking about foundation of the Melbourne shuffle specifically, like it does go to that T step, and that does like make this dance, like again, this is this home base of like if you can just T step and you can find this groove with your upper body, and you can find this space to explore, you can find the space to create as your own creator on top of this move, I've done my job. Like if you feel freedom to create exponentially on top of this baseline, that's what I can give to you. And then past that, you are innovating the dance. That's again, but we're talking Melbourne shuffle. Like and you're saying the same thing. These baseline moves are very important, but really it's the essence on top of that that makes you either shuffling or not. We're kind of like breaking rocking down a little bit more in the community, and we're trying to define rocking itself a little bit more. So now like this essence of rocking is not only just the T-step at all, or the running man and all of the 5 elements. It's now like this upper body rock that we see on everyone. And they are shuffling, they got this upper body rock going on with them. That is now taught with rocking to show people like you use your head, you use your body to make this move and this essence feel this way, this bounce, right? So like, again, this is studying history. This is watching like Sarah and Peg and like really just like studying what rocking looked like in its initial form, and like watching how they used their whole body to do what they were doing. And again, like rocking is also this essence of sway, right? This is also rocking. So like there's so many essences that I just speaking from the Melbourne Shuffle, because that's what I've studied the most for the past like, year and a half, whatever. There's like all of this essence that makes that style, and that looks different. Like cutting shapes isn't necessarily like that. Like there's not always that sway present or that body rock present. That's very specific and different to the Melbourne Shuffle. And in Malaysian, it's even more heightened. It's a very different pull and sway and dip into the running man. So it's cool. Again, like I'm a nerd. I'm a movement nerd at the end of the day, beyond shuffling, beyond anything. I love to watch the body, dissect the body, figure out exactly how the heck it's doing that, try to replicate it, and so I can communicate it. I have a gift of articulation of movement. Like that is truly my gift. I've been doing it since I was little. So like the articulation of body movement outside of, like we're talking about, outside of the step. Why does it feel like that?
Yeah, I think it's like there's a lot of work for people who is teaching to come up with teaching methodologies to at some point like we need to take other teachers' classes too, and so get more information, or like if you go to a program or something, give feedback, because this is always going to make this specific formation or classes get better, and I think it's just it's about time. We have like it's time, but because I know that we have people taking action. Sometime like many years ago, the action was lacking, and time wasn't giving anything. But right now, like we have people working. I know people from all around the world, and I think it's just a matter of time that more people gets like the right information, and people get like a structure of how to dance and develop their style and how to get better on shuffling. And I think it's going to be a great journey for the upcoming generations, and for us too, to live and see all these changes and make them happen if we take part on them. So I think it's like it's a beautiful um, beautiful years to come, right?
Yeah,
From
and
now.
when you're doing stuff like this, when you are out here doing stuff like this, that's you taking this massive step to say, hey, like, let's come together as leaders to clarify, define, and like expand upon shuffling. Like, how can we get not like obviously the goal is to get the world on a similar page of understanding, right? And to see all as one and to understand one another. But in order to do so, we have to get the communication of the leaders on the same page, right? Like we all have to like, we're never all going to perfectly agree on things, but the more that we have these conversations and the more that we share knowledge, the more that we take each other's classes as leaders, as teachers, the more we can come to a similar consensus and a similar understanding so that we can clarify and define and be on a similar page, because there's not question about hip hop. Like, no matter where you go, if you want to talk hip hop and you talk to somebody that knows hip hop, you're going to get similar answers. They're going to tell you similar things. The culture is clear. Like it's happened. So like, I truly want that for our dance so bad. And I think because of its culture and its special culture of being in the club and being in the rave, it makes it a little challenging because the why in which we dance is just, it's at the end of the day it's the same, but it looks a little different, right? Like we all dance to express ourselves and we all dance to sometimes escape, to sometimes connect. But because it's in the rave, I feel like the lack of organization of it has kept us a little bit behind, right? Like our dance, yes, it's a baby, but so is Crump. But they got their together. Like they know what they're doing and they've pushed the thing forward, and it comes back to like there needs to be a collective of leaders that propel the dance forward. And hi, you're here doing it, you know, like you are taking a massive act in that. And like I think what we just did last weekend here in Wisconsin was a really loud act in that same thing. Like, let's come together and let's move it forward, because like we deserve that. Like our dance deserves that. Like this is a full-blown dance style that in the realm of the dance world isn't necessarily looked at as such, you know, because it's misunderstood, very much so. So again, good leaders coming out of places to say, no, like our dance deserves all of the respect and here's why, let us teach you about it, you know. It's really important.
Yeah, you were talking about the raves, right? When the shuffle started happening outside of the raves, when it started happening outside, started to grow. And this was from 2007 up to today. So basically shuffling, it's like 30 and 40 years. Like in with having inputs, let's say it like this, like not existence, because we know it's from the 80s, but just keeping it in the raves, it didn't have any kind of inputs. So when it started go out, have videos, new people learning, people that know other styles can start have some inputs, and here we are right now. Okay, so let's talk about the event that happened this weekend that you just mentioned in your last the last time you spoke. So first of all, I want to know, what is the idea behind this event? Why do you want to make it? Like, we'll talk about what happened after this. But first, how do you come up with the idea of making this event? What motivation drives you to say, okay, let's make an in-person event here there in Wisconsin? And how's this idea starting to develop up to when it comes to life?
Okay, so like I said, no shufflers here. Like literally, I know one shuffler. He shuffled in high school, but he stopped right after high school and he picked up other styles of dance. In Wisconsin, we have a beautiful all-style community: poppers, crumpers, like tutters, electro, like just different styles, but not any shufflers. So I am a shuffler born in an all-style community. And I'm part of that world. I go to battles. I watch my friends battle. I am submerged in that culture because that's the culture that I had here. I didn't have, there's nowhere for me to go shuffle. There's no group for me to go shuffle with. It's just not, that's not it. So like, I'm an all style dancer. Like that is my home. That's my family. But I obviously am a raver. I obviously like go travel to festivals. I travel to other shuffle communities. I shuffle with shufflers, and I'm part of that world too, and that culture too. And so like being pulled in these different directions, but they're so similar. They're so similar. The heart of dance is so similar and present in both, but different. These are very different cultures. Like they talk to each other differently. They like, it's just different, and none of which is bad or like anything. But I do see this divide in which these groups of people can learn a lot from each other. Like to bridge that gap for me is to like heal the world, because what one does not understand of the other and vice versa is like that disconnect is so far beyond dance. It's truly just like a life and human disconnect that if healed can like literally heal the world. So for me, bridging these two worlds was really important, like as me as a dancer and knowing how much I love both and want both to like know and love each other, but also seeing that way grander picture of like that disconnect can heal, like if we can heal that disconnect. So that was that in alone. And then my partner Papa Copina has thrown many events. He's thrown many battles in like the past 5 years. He's been doing this. We have pretty good, again, all-style scene in the Midwest. So they come together and they dance a lot. There's jams all the time, and like they can always go do this. And I've always like the competitor, the like high-trained athlete in me has always been very like kind of envious of that. Like I want to go shuffle battle. Like why can't I just go to the shuffle battle? I am too nervous so far to go to a freestyle battle against all of these insane dancers right now. I'll get to that point, but like I just want to shuffle battle. And so, you know, I battled in the FTS tournament online, which was really, really incredible. The way that they had it organized, the way that they're doing it, it changed a lot of people's perspectives on a lot of things, but still like that's incredible, and it was amazing, and it was moving in the right direction, but that's still not what I'm looking for. I don't want to take 14 videos to get my right video. I want to feel the energy in the room. I want to like base what my movement is on that song that I don't know. It's not a pre-selected song. It's just like whatever gets played, and I get to feed off of the energy of the crowd and the DJ and everything. So I just want that so badly for our culture, and like y'all have it going on there, and that has inspired me so much. But like also just again wanting to bridge that gap, wanting to integrate this community into that community, but in doing so, you know, you're taking like that's hip hop culture, the master of ceremony, the judges, the way that everything works in it, that's hip hop culture. So we're taking this culture and putting it in there, right? So like things are bound to happen. Things are bound to like be interesting as they are. But you know, it was just really important for me to like want both to see one another clearly, but also to expand shuffling. We gotta go there. We gotta like if we want the dance to move and we want to pull out of the woodworks the people who also are on like mind and they want the dance to move, they want to train harder, they want to like compete, they want this new level of it. How are you going to get any of those people to come out without throwing the event? And honestly, like it being in Madison, Wisconsin, it being, you know, we had it in plans for longer than we had like the flyer out. Things happen, you know, like people bail, the flyer can't get put out, then all of a sudden the event is 3 weeks out and we're just like trying to push, and it's hard to get to Madison. So the turnout wasn't fully like if we gave ample time for one of these, the entire country is going to show up for it. You know what I mean? Like everyone and anyone who is here for this movement will show up for it. We didn't really curate that kind of like, we didn't give that much space so that you could fly in for it and like you could plan all of it. But the people that were here are for the culture, like very much for the culture, and it was really loud. The act of what we just did together was very, very loud, and it pushed, just like the FDS tournament did, it pushed the community. Like, I felt that. I think everyone felt that. It's really beautiful.
I commented first time I saw the flyer. I commented that I wish I could have gone.
I know. I wish you could have been there, and that was literally like, you know, it was hard to like not get super frustrated at myself, at my partner. Like, why didn't we give people more time? Why didn't we, you know? But like, honestly, it had to be done. It just had to be done. This is not the last one. There will be more. It had, like, the step had to be taken, you know? And if it wasn't, you don't, who knows? But like, that just started a ball rolling in way more areas than this area. So like, it was really important to get that ball moving, especially too, like, this was only the first qualifier of this series of battles that he's throwing and I'm helping him with. Each battle is a different closed style, so it just happened to be that shuffling was first. So in order to get that thing moving and be able to finish by the championship festival that we have planned for next year, we had to move, you know, like, it had to go. But we have lots of plans for what can come next out of this. Like, our community deserves this, and our community deserves also to be educated on what that process looks like what is the battle scene, like what happens there, and like, how do we hold ourselves in that space, how do we represent for our dance in that space so that we can show the world. Because guess what, because of the rave scene, because of the lack of structure, because of the lack of definition and the lack of like thorough training, I suppose, it's hard for some of the other dance cultures to look at shuffling with a lot of respect.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. But some places are not like that, you know, and as I've been shuffling and growing as a shuffler in my own space, I've been getting a lot of respect around the Midwest from people that are like, holy crap, like, what you're doing, like, that's different. And I'm like, it's not really that different. You just don't know the people that are doing it with full passion, full heart, full training, and are trying to progressively move the dance forward. You see it on TikTok where people are just playing, and I'm not saying TikTok is a bad thing. I'm saying it can be used for bad, and to like, basically, like, again, we just got to keep checking our why. Why do we dance? Like, what are we actually doing this for? To keep things in proper alignment, I would say. But you know, our dance has kind of gotten this bad view from a lot of the other dance styles, but to see such talented shufflers in Wisconsin this past weekend and watch how this battle culture responded to seeing shuffling was just, whoa. I saw some like extremely talented, extremely experienced dancers trying to shuffle, and that just like, we did exactly what we were supposed to do, you know. And that was that bridge right there. Like, can you imagine getting, like we talked about earlier, getting these 10, 12, 15-year dancers to start shuffling? Like, our dance completely changes at that point, you know, and vice versa. Shufflers who no longer identify as shufflers, but as dancers, full-on dancers. Like, you want to pop, you want to do this, like we are exponential, but so many shufflers put themselves in this box of I am a shuffler, and they don't leave that box. That's where they'll stay. And that's like, I don't believe that is what it's supposed to be like. Like, we can be shufflers with more too.
But I think that there's people that, even though they dance other styles, they also like, is if it's where they are coming from and it makes them proud, or it's like, yeah, I'm a shuffle dancer, I also do popping, or I also do breaking, but I am, like, in essence, I'm a shuffle dancer. Like, that's my background. That's my main dance background.
That will forever be me too.
Yeah.
Forever a shuffle dancer, right?
So, what you were commenting about the other styles who may not look to shuffle that seriously, I think we just need more people in that case like you that start throwing more events. You know, here in Barcelona, we started doing events some years ago, and you know, people who is in the All Stars community and know about us and know about the events that we're doing, they know that we are serious. They know we are a young dance, like, in culture, but they know that when they go training, they have like their spaces where they their plazas, or they like these places where everybody goes dancing, and they see us there too, practicing and shuffling and grinding, and if you see that through years, like people start watching you as those guys, like they know what they're doing, like they've been here training and they're doing things. I see they do classes every week, so we just need to show that even though we can be less people than them, it just like if we don't believe that shuffling is something professional, other dancers won't. Like
No. And why should they? If we don't, why should they?
It has to start from us.
Yep.
So we need to be the first ones and start throwing up more competitions, more workshops, more meetups, more shuffle productions, more everything towards that direction.
Great.
So okay, let's talk about the event in a specific, about the shuffling. I know that it's like a big event where there's more styles in other weekends, but we have like you could see shuffling being one of them. And how's the logistic of organizing an event to someone that maybe doesn't know how to organize an event, or maybe this person is hearing us talking about, yeah, we need more organizers, more events, and he's saying, well, maybe I'd like to give it a try in my city. So how's this process of, because when it comes to organizing events, it's not just choose the judges and be here. There's a lot of logistics. You need to be very organized. I know that, you know that. We both have organized events. So how's this process of organizing an event?
Difficult. This was definitely my biggest event. I threw an event a year ago, and it was tiny, and it was honestly very successful, very like put together, very for its size, right? That's the thing. Like, it was a smaller event last year, and I was able to stay on top of it and everything. And like, even with weather and crazy stuff happening last year, it still went so smoothly. This was a massive event. Like, I have never tried anything of this stature. And, you know, we had a small team, a really small team, basically just me and my partner. There were people that dipped in and helped with certain things, but at the end of the day, it was just me and him. It was a lot. Preparation time is super necessary. We learned so much. And like, you can't have too much prep time. My habit of procrastination does not help in this situation, like, at all. You know,
I don't think procrastination helps anyone.
No. No, sometimes I do my best work at the last minute, but event planning, bad idea, terrible idea.
Not
no,
recommended.
it again, like, it we could only work, you know, as fast as the flyer came out, though. Or like, you know, some things are just like, you can't work faster than the thing that has to come before that action, right? So we made do with what we had, and we did a really great job with what we had. It was challenging. It was very challenging, and we learned so much from this. But yeah, you have to be prepared. I would highly recommend knowing that you have a team. You know, like, we had verbal commitments of a team, but even that verbal commitment can't last. And you need to know that you have this team, because that team is really, really important, or else you're going to be overworked and spread a little too thin, which happened to us. You know, like, let's just be transparent. That can happen really easily. So personally, I got out of this experience exactly what I needed to get out of this, with, I think, everybody that came to it. But how many things could we have like tweaked and done better and will do better next time? So many things. This is all a learning process. And, you know, if this is something that interests somebody in your area and you're ready to take on something like this, ample prep time, proper team, and like just having a like drawn out like plan for how this is actually going to work, because there's a lot that goes into it, between social media, between putting that team together, between delegating what those responsibilities look like in order to make a function like this process and function well, right? Like it has to like you have to be on the same page. And honestly, like I always say it here in this space, it's like we're growing through rocks in Madison. Like art is very suppressed. It's very hard to like get people to come and be even just a spectator of expression rather than to even express themselves. Like just to be a spectator, like it's hard to pull people together in our space. But guess what? Like I can count on like 2, 3, 4 hands the amount of people that were from Madison that were there. But how freaking beautiful is it that we can pull together an event of that size from all over the country, especially the Midwest. The thing is of this is like this was for the Midwest. The Midwest, compared to the rest of the country, we are behind. We are small in community. We do not have that many people that are training and actually taking the stand seriously and like pushing it forward. There's not too many of us in the Midwest. So I think that these really beautiful, important, talented, experienced people that came out and like curated this event with me, that were my judges, were my teachers, were all of the things. I think they understand that LA doesn't need help. I mean, everyone needs help, right? But like they got it on the East Coast, they got it on the West Coast, they got it down in Texas, they got it in Florida, they got it all over the country. The Midwest is behind, and we always have been in the arts in general, music and arts. And how is that even possible though? House music and techno music were born here, yet we are like behind, right? Like so it was expansive for the Midwest, and it was really loud for the Midwest. Now could more of the Midwest shown up? Yes, but again, we'll take responsibility for that in not giving Apple time to plan. But the next one, we need to pack it. And like I think again, it's just going to be louder and louder the more we continue as a country to do things like this. The right people are going to keep showing up, and those are the people that then like what I need from our country and the talented dancers in our country is to show up to the all style battles. If we want to show what shuffling can do, we need to put it in the scene with the other dancers. Like it is not a separate dance. Like we are all dancing. We all can battle. We are all freestylers. So like for a shuffler to go into a freestyle battle and hold it down and represent for shuffling is really important. Like what I did was take them and put them together, right? So for those of you that don't know, there was a freestyle 7 to Smoke battle, which brought out the underground street battle culture. Like the people that have been doing this here for a long time, like they've been battling, they've been doing this, right? We took our people into their experience by hosting a 7 to Smoke that was freestyle and then a closed style tournament bracket for shuffling. So we put them in the same room to battle together. Not against each other even, but together, right? Some people battled in that shuffle battle, which was really, really cool to see all style dancers battling in the shuffle battle as well. We actually have a friend in Chicago that's from Lithuania, right? Lithuania, I think. Is that right? Do you know? He's got his headphones in. I'm trying to ask him questions. I think he's from Lithuania. He was doing like liquid electronic or electro dance out there, and so like he's a really good shuffler, just hasn't done it in like 7 years. But like seeing him battle in that battle where I've watched him battle in all style battles, freestyle battles plenty of times was really special. So it's really moving. But I think if we truly we just need to step outside of our comfort zones. As shufflers, we need to get outside of our comfort zone and be not afraid of the judgment we might receive when we step into those spaces. We need to respect our own dance enough and ourselves enough as artists to know that our dance you have to be somewhat of a freestyler too. You can't, if you are just footworking and you're just shuffling and you're not holding the essence of shuffle and you haven't explored other styles of movement, it's going to be hard to keep up in a freestyle battle. But when you're ready, you're ready. We got a lot of shufflers here in the States that are ready, and they need to show up. They got to show up for our dance. They got to show up for our culture. If we want to integrate and we want to start battling, we need the legends of our country that are still in training. We need them to be showing up.
And yeah, so in the event part, so what things do you need to start? I know them because I also organize events, But to the people listening, like, what things do they need to have in mind? Like, can you name like important things that you need to have in, like, to take into account for organizing an event? Space. You need staff, people judging, people taking pictures or videos. Like, what things? What different things do you go across when organizing an event?
Yeah, so first you need to find that space, right? You can't like just say there's going to be an event and not have a space. So definitely your space comes first. You need to know where this is going to happen, and the location. Now, before you can even really announce that there's going to be an event, you need to know who is also like co-doing this with you. So that's your judges, that's your MC, that's your like, I mean, if you're doing something like we just did, this is a whole weekend. Outside of that battle, we had workshops. We had 2 days of like 4 or 5 workshops on each day. So those were instructors that we brought in as well to teach the styles. You need to know what size of event this is about to be, right? So that comes along with the space. If you're getting a smaller space, it's going to be a smaller event. For this event, we had 2 battles technically, which means we had 2 sets of judges, which makes the event expand a lot. That's a big event. Yes, you need a videographer, you need a photographer. I would say we learned a lot when it comes to the MC. We provided an opportunity for somebody that's never done that role before to fill that role. We quickly learned how important everybody's role is. So essential, right? But the master of ceremony runs the whole show. Like, we're the host, but that person is the timekeeper. That's the person that is diffusing situations. That's the person that's literally leading the flow of the day. So that is a very important role to fill, and that is not a role to be taken lightly by any party, the host who's hiring or the person that is the MC themselves studying needs to take part. We're like, as a baby shuffle community, especially one that is stepping into an already curated battle scene, right? Like, that already exists. Do you guys battle the same rules and stuff as like hip hop culture? Do your battles?
Yes. 3 judges, one battle. Well, depending, it can be 1 round or 2 rounds. They both dance to the same music, the same round, and judges vote. You can have draw too, and like, I don't know, in your case, like, when there's, for example, 2 draws and 1 judge is voting, like, is this person winning, or you do another round for?
They will win. Yeah, if there's 2 draws and there's 1, they'll win. If there's 2 and then a draw, then they'll do it. But yeah, so like what happened, we'll talk about it like just really briefly. Education lacked. We're stepping into this is already a thing. You can go learn about it before you step into it. So we take responsibility as leaders and hosts of it that we did not educate the shuffle judges and the MC, who is also a shuffler, on
the battles.
Yeah, but also, like, I'm gonna put that responsibility back onto the shuffle community. We all want this. Like, we want, like, the right people want this. The people that want to move the dance forward, that want to be a part of this, we want this. So we need to take it upon ourselves to learn and educate ourselves before stepping into the space. And if you want to learn by stepping into this space, beautiful. Like, learn through experience. That's how I learned. I didn't look it up on Google. I went to a lot of battles and I like learned the culture before I like wanted to organize and throw an event like this, right? So if you're going to step into this space, and especially if you're going to be a judge or an MC or anyone that's like in a role of importance at the battle, we need to know what we're doing. We need to know what we're looking at. So that guy actually that I was speaking of earlier, his name is Lego. He lost his battle. He did not think that was fair, so he called the judges out. And judges call out.
He called the judges out.
Yep. Okay. So this is normal in battle culture.
It's normal.
Kind of what I was going to.
But yes, the judges didn't know, right?
They did not know. So they said, like, no. And guess what? Like, Vic was there and he hadn't battled yet. Vic was the one that won the FTS tournament. He's from Chicago. So he had come up to watch the battle. And he's like all heated because like he just watched all this battle. Like, he wants to go in. So them not quite understanding that process, They sent Vic in, the MC went in, like there was all of a sudden like these people taking on the judges' battles to battle Lego. And that was confusing, especially for people that know the culture and know that, like, wait, this isn't how this happened. So all of a sudden there's like a crew battle breaking out.
Oh.
Like, what's going on? So like it got a little hot and it got a little messy, but like, in my opinion, necessary for many reasons. We're bridging communities and cultures that they're different. These are different worlds, and like they think differently, they act differently, they respond to each other differently. So like the friction is naturally going to happen. It almost has to, in order for growth to happen. Growth and healing often are accompanied by chaos and friction, right? Like internally or externally. That's just how growth happens, right? So like it has to kind of. Could this have been prevented by us telling the whole room what this call out means? Absolutely. This is where we get to learn. But guess what? That was chaos. It was madness. It was 10 minutes of just madness. It happens. It happens all the time. Like in other, like it, not in misunderstanding, just in heat of passion, this can happen,
Yeah,
right?
it's
So
like you feel
what happened?
you feel it's unfair, and just say, let's battle, and that's it. I'm going
Yes.
out, but I'll battle you. And you know, when the callouts happen, like no one has to vote. It's just the battle, and it ends, and the people know already what happened, and what one dancer said in dancing, and what said the other. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
And
yeah.
this is a perfect opportunity for education. That's all I see this as, is like he got to come out and go live last night and talk thoroughly about like what happened, why it happened, where the accountability is, and how we can move forward as a collective on how to like not run into a friction quite of that stature again. But like really all it is education. We just got to learn together big time, and that's really, really important, especially shufflers that are wanting to integrate into this battle culture. We need to be educated. We need to know what we're stepping into. We need to know, you know, if we don't want to be touched, we don't touch people. Like this is all just like, you know, we gotta understand the game if we're gonna play it. But really, so beautiful, so many beautiful things, so much expansion on every end of things. I feel like minds on both ends were very opened, and that is the goal. Like again, seeing like some of my biggest inspirations of freestyle dancers trying to shuffle, mind blown, like beautiful.
I want to talk about one thing right now that I think that it will be very helpful for everyone. That is, when you know, in Spain we know a lot about battling right now, and that's because obviously we've had many battles these last years, but at the beginning we didn't have any idea of like our insights or experience. So we were also first of all, when an event was happening, like we knew the dates and everything like this. We would get we had a studio here in Barcelona in specific, and we would do battle practice, and we would take people and do people who knew more about battling. Like there was one moment that I wasn't very experienced. Right now I am one of the people who teaches and how to battling, and gives insights and explains people how to battle better, or how to understand the concept of what a tournament and a battle is. So we were having a lot of battle trainings. We also did like kind of pre-events. So we would do a bracket and do like just a battle to see, to get practice, and to know, to get used to the format of battling. And we were also having, like, as you said, it's not something from shuffling. Battling it's happening in all these styles. So for getting the ideas, we were talking with hip hop dancers, electro dancers. Like there was some years that electro and shuffle community, we were like together every week.
As they should be.
So right now, it's a little bit separated, also because COVID, like, it separated everyone. So we're also trying to reunite everyone from shuffling again, because there's people that doesn't travel that much again to the city, but to the point of learning from battling. I think that the most important people who need, like, not everyone needs to do all the things that I'm going to say right now, but organizers, people who has the potential of being a judge, people who is in the game and can be in a position of leading or being someone important or teaching about battling, they should go to a lot of battles to see, not to participate, but to see. We were in 2018. We did with the electro community. We traveled. We're from Barcelona, and we traveled to Italy to an electro and all styles event. We were like, some of us were also going to the all styles doing shuffle, but like, you would see the environment, how's people, like, how's the organization, how's the event, how's the people going to this and experiencing. You were also seeing, oh, these things work and people enjoys that, or these other things people don't enjoy that. So as an organizer, you can say, okay, I don't want to do this in my tournaments because I don't want people to feel like this way. But it was very important to us, and we were start feeling like, oh, we like this battle, and we're learning a lot about doing this. And then we went to France, to Paris, which was a huge electro event. I think is one of the biggest electro events in the world, which is called the LRC.
LRC.
LRC, yes.
That stand for?
So it was also electro and all styles, but it was huge. Like, it was the competition was happening in many days, and they also had a shuffle 7 to smoke in that event. Yeah. That's why also we wanted to go, because we were talking with them and saying, yeah, some shufflers we will go, and they were saying, and they were posting a story of there's enough shuffle people, do you want to do a 7 to smoke, and up to 7 shufflers. So we were all writing, the ones we were going, we were like writing, yes, we're going. And like these events, like you're experiencing a lot of people going to event, paying for the entrance. Like you need to get used to pay for dance experiences, and it's worth. You pay them, and if it's a good experience, like you feel incredibly good about paying, and you think, what I would be missing if I'm not inside this event. And the finals of this event was so crazy because it was a theater. It was a theater full of dancers in all the rows, like all the seats, and also people standing in the bottom of the theater, and there was like the how's it?
Stage.
Yeah, the stage. Like I forgot.
Yeah,
I forgot the word stage, and it was like a stage. You had 2 DJs, like one for the all styles, one for the electro, and you had the judges down, electro judges, like people from all over the world from electro, also all styles, people from all over the world from all styles, team like 1v1 team battles in all styles in electro too. It was a crazy event, and we were looking, and there was Diablo in this event as judge. So you were like what is Diablo doing here? Like, you're one of the most recognized hip hop dancers, like in an electro event, which is also like we felt that electro was really similar to shuffle because it was also an electronic music dance, very very recent. Like electro is younger than shuffle, but it has more professional culture because people did events. They got influenced by the hip hop. And like this experience really was changing the game for us, and our mindset was, "Whoa, we need to do this for shuffling. Like we need to do that." And we were starting to taking these ideas, putting them into reality. making people educate people in the battles, make them understand that it's not about just winning, it's about learning about becoming more professional, better dancers. It's experience. So obviously it's important to win because everybody likes to win and have this competition spirit and want to get far on the battles, but it's not just about that. And I also find, like, I also found that when I lose, I learn the most. When I win,
Yeah.
I don't take many lectures or many epiphanies or, oh, I need to work on this. But
Yeah.
this thing is huge. Like, going to other style events, it really makes a completely change, because then you go on shuffling and you know what to do. You know how it works. I was seeing callouts, but with people being really, really, really angry, and I was like, oh, this is going like this is hot. This is a hot
Yeah.
situation for dancing. And
Sometimes it's driven by over just the movement, right? Like sometimes there's stuff going on like beyond this battle that is personal for these dancers, and so like this can go well beyond it. Passion drives all of this, right? Yeah, wow. That event sounds absolutely insane. I want to experience that. Y'all are really blessed to be out there where electro is so loud like that. Like, I don't even know. I don't think that we really have battles here that are electronic at all. You know, like the thing is, we've been shuffle battling in the rave for a long time. Like, not organized, but like there's battles that happen all the time in the rave. We've been battling. Like, that's the thing. Like, shufflers have been battling one another in the rave for a long time. But to actually step into this level of professionalism, but also this, it's another, on top of that, like professionalism, yes, this is a whole new avenue for us to go in and to push our dance forward in. But like personally, within each of our own selves, this is a new step of communication, connection, understanding the person that you're like battling against. Like, it's such a vulnerable space to step into, believing in your own craft enough to compete it and to like actually step here to it, right? Like, you're not like, I'm trying to help newer people understand like the mindset that it takes to even step into that. Like, me as an athlete, I can go into performer mode really quick, and then that performer mode can help me in that situation. But you know, to understand that this is an exchange. You're doing this with another person. Like, this is you and that person, like, yes, battling one another, but also like there's this whole thing of like there's a crowd, and like this is also for us, this is also for them, and like we are curating this experience for them. So like this is an exchange of energy, and it's a sacred exchange of energy. So like that is a really important, beautiful part too. Like, on top of the professionalism that it takes, it moves us as dancers into a different space as well, professional and vulnerable, and it's important.
yeah, so it's I think the same. It's a matter of time, but in this case, we need people starting going to more events just to see, like, just to understand the environment, and just like when you see the environment and the crazy vibes, you start wanting this on your dance, and you're like, whoa, imagine all these people being shufflers. It's crazy. Like, I can tell you, we had this huge event in Barcelona in 2019. The 2020 was cancelled 1 week before because it was just 1 week after the COVID.
I think Boombox was gonna come judge that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Boombox,
all
Sabrina, and Chuflis from Barcelona.
Yeah, it's
And
so cool.
like, this event is crazy. People from the States have been here. Lost Boy was judged in 2019. Fogchild also came, and they were like blown away. They were like,
Yeah.
oh man, like, we need this, because it was like they just saw, like they saw the tournament that was kind of like the climax of doing little events over the last 2 years, up to this point where we're like, okay, let's do something big, and then it was bigger. Like this last year was even bigger, but it was crazy, and the vibes were so cool because we also emphasized really much on the battle education, and that is very important to preserve the vibes. Like it's a place for thriving and for have a good day and a great day. It's not for yeah, I have a personal thing with this one, I'm going to beat you. You can beat them, but you don't need to be like super noisy and to disrupt the event because your personal matter with this other person. So I think it's just we need more events, and it's organically people will start to see, will want more events, will travel to more events. So I think we just need to keep going, and like we need to don't stop doing events. Like they don't need to stop, because then when they stop, if people likes it, they will say there's no events. Fuck, we want events.
Bring them back. Yeah, and it's gonna take an army, right? Like, I mean, I don't know, y'all are doing it, and I'm sure you have like a solid team in there. But the thing is, like, we're connected but divided out here. Like, I want to see battles popping up on the East Coast. I want to see Florida battles. I want to see Texas battles. I want to see the West Coast battling. And like, the thing is, they've been battling, but I want it for our community again to step into the professionalism of throwing these battles, and knowing that our style deserves this, and that like investing in yourself is so important. You were talking about this earlier, and the fact that people think that a ticket to a class or to an event like this is too expensive, or like they just can't afford it or whatever, but they'll drop $350 on a ticket to a festival, and they'll go buy their hotel for that weekend, and they'll like, that's nothing. But like, to invest in their self and their growth and their personal culture, which is this dance, too much. That mindset will shift. That mindset will shift the more that we do this. Because it's so important. This is so important for the future of our dance. This is where we have to go.
Yeah, this was happening in Barcelona. The people who were traveling to the events or were doing the battle practices and were paying the workshops, and was people that were investing, as you say, in themselves, in learning and experiencing more dance. They were like, these people were the ones lasting in the tournament. Like, they would beat the others, and there was a good dancers, but it's just they know how to battle better. They know how to be, they know how to handle the situation. They are used to be in this environment of battling, having a crowd, having depression, like this moment of the pressure of being there in the dance floor. So I think it's just a matter of priorities. And once battles start being bigger, people will start to say, oh, I want to be in the top of the battles, because people will want to get their name out there and get known. So it's just like in every other sport, like people want to go to score good and be known for the people of the shuffling or for whatever they want. But when this starts happening, people start saying, whoa, I really need to go to more events, get more experience, get more workshops, do more trainings, travel more, meet more people, talk with people, exchange information. But we need more events.
Yeah, and just like any other sport too, like, you can go outside and shoot a basketball and have a lot of fun and never play basketball in a game and keep score, and it's still beautiful that you like to shoot basketball, right? Like, just because this doesn't have to be for everyone. It doesn't have to be for everyone. No. But what I need to not happen is for people to think that because we're shifting in that direction, we're somehow taking away from our dance, or we're somehow taking away from anything. This is not to be looked at in a negative way. This is an expansion of our dance. It doesn't have to, like, not everyone has to be a part of it, but you don't, it doesn't need to be disrespected. It doesn't need to be put down. It doesn't need to be looked at in any type of negative light, because all it is doing is pushing and expanding our dance. And it's allowing a space for people like me and you and plenty of others who take this dance seriously, who take themselves seriously, who take it like, who want professionalism for our dance. It's creating those opportunities for us all to come together and to do so. And I think you're absolutely correct. If this is what you, whoever's listening, wants of this dance, take it upon yourself to go learn. Like, do not be afraid to show up to your local all-style battle. Like, please go and check it out. Just because you show up doesn't mean you need to battle. Just because you show up doesn't mean like anyone's going to come up to you and call you out in a battle. Like, you're just going as a spectator to learn the culture and to understand what we're stepping into. And that is really important, so that we can honor that history, but also take it and expand upon it in our own way as well. Like, it's all just knowledge. Like, we all just need to like step into like learning more, so that we can expand as dancers ourselves and like fill space just as any other style does. Because just because we're younger and we've taken a little bit to organize doesn't mean our style is any less than any other style. And like, in order for it to be put into the professionalism, like, we need to stand up for it and we need to show up for it. And even if you just step into the cypher circle a couple times as a shuffler at this all-style event, you might be the only shuffler there, and they might have not ever seen anything like you before. That's the thing. Like, so many of these dancers who are so talented, like, their image of our dance is stuck in this 8 count that they keep seeing on TikTok. You know, like, that's where their view of the dance comes from. And we just have so much more to share. And the only way we're going to share it is if we show up.
Yeah.
We got to show up.
Okay. One of the last things that I want to talk about the Styles Defined Battle League is what lecture do you take from this event? Like, how was the people having the time there? They were enjoying it. How do also people who work there, judges, MCs, teachers in the workshop, because there were teachers that weren't judges. So, and also yourself as organizer, what lecture do you take about the event, and what positive things, what negative things did it have? And where do you see it going towards the next years?
I feel like I almost like haven't even caught my breath and processed yet. So I'm sure so much will continue to come up about this. To me, I'm left with just pure magic, to be honest. Like what we wanted, you know, expectations are never going to do us well anyways. Expectations literally steal joy. So any expectation we could have for this, let's just let go of that, right? But what came of this for literally everyone, I think, even like the people that showed up for this, they get it. They saw the vision. They wanted to be part of the vision. That was all grand, but I think in all of us, we saw even more so why this is necessary, why we're doing this, why we all just came to Madison, Wisconsin to do this, right? Like, and it was loud. The intention was so loud. So I think that was alone very important. As far as when you say lecture, I think of lesson, right? That lesson to me, and I think everyone involved, especially on the shuffle side, because this was a new experience for all of us. Like, it was not new to the hip hop culture. They already done it. So they're over here like teaching us and telling us what needs to change and stuff. So for all of us, education, like understanding that culture in itself, so we do not steal from it, but we can integrate with it. Super important. That is the loudest thing for myself personally as an organizer. I almost just said it the same way you did. It was so cute. You said organizer.
I know, organizer. Like,
I like that. I like it, organizer. Myself, you know, like making sure that team is committed to what you're doing, because if you don't have a team, you're going to burn out like big time. And I allowed myself to spread myself thin and like have to take on a lot of responsibility that the event host should not have to take on, but it worked. We did it. but that was a big lesson for me. Make sure you have a strong team going in that is committed, and they're not going to go anywhere on you. And, you know, that prep time is super important. But as far as like, okay, so I learned one big thing. I think I told you, like, I have a gift of articulation of movement, which makes me a very good, not just teacher, but a teacher of teachers. I can help people that have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience and talent in this dance, or in really like whatever they're in. I'm really good at getting in their head, helping them explain themselves and teach what is going on inside their head. So what I realized for like this experience, instructors coming through, like really running through like, okay, what is your, as a host myself, and wanting my event to go as well as possible, talking to these teachers, like making sure they understand what they're teaching and are communicating in the ways that they're trying to communicate in. So working with the instructors through their like class plans, almost like, I think what we needed the most of all of this was more, what is it called, for like a rehearsal dinner, right, at a wedding, but like run throughs, like actual, like, what is this going to look like, to make everybody on the same page, to make sure everyone is like fulfilling their roles. And like, I don't blame anyone but myself for any of this stuff. And like, it's always going to come down to leadership. It has to, or else like I'm not in the right role. Like, it has to always come back to us. And so for me, I think that's a really good lesson to be learned, is more organization in the way of not like just structuring the day of or anything like that, but making sure that everybody that's a part of the event is on the same page well prior to the event, you know, between judges, MCs, everybody. You can't just expect that everyone's just going to be on the same page day of show up, right? So like a lot of extra conversation, but organizing a group of people like that who all have lives and who are all doing their own things in general is difficult, like setting aside that time. But we definitely need to do that more. That's a big lesson that was learned. But really on the grandest scale is we need more of this connection. Like, it was magic. Like, my body just keeps getting head to toe goosebumps. I think about that bridging those two worlds and having the one see the other and respect the other, right? And understand like why we're all here, even if we're confused still and we're standing there like, what the heck is all of this? What's going on? That just this undeniable knowing of like, we're meant to be here. This is where we're supposed to be, you know? And that was just really loud and sometimes unspoken. You know, we had some greats, like, are you kidding me? The fact that Sky was out here and Sierra was out here and Migs was out here and Lost Boy was out here, and literally everyone that came for shuffling and showed up for shuffling. Leonette, who won the shuffle battle, congratulations, by the way, to the very first American shuffle champion. Really, really cool. She is incredible, and she's the only person that like is so for the culture that she thought about it for a little bit, but she bought like a freaking way too expensive plane ticket. She didn't even know there was a cash prize. She didn't even know, like, she was so for the culture that she didn't care about any of the extra stuff. She just knows that this is the way that the dance is supposed to move in, and she showed up for it. And guess what? She took home $500 because she's a badass. And like, it was so cool to see the right people showing up for the things that they believe in, and it will just get louder and louder and louder, and it will be a snowball effect as long as the people that are in that mind space already just keep pushing. Like, it has to, like, it doesn't even have to be aggressive. We just have to keep all moving forward with it. And I think, again, there's momentum coming out of this. And I think we are all on that page. I just would love to see, like, I want a battle, y'all. Like, you guys got to throw the battle so I can come battle, because I can't battle if I'm the host. Like, let's go. Like, we need more. We need more, and we need to educate before we create more. I'm so lucky and so blessed to be in this community, especially with this human that's been ignoring me in the same room as me this whole time. He knows so much, and he is so rich with culture. And like, if I would not have him, I would not be able to do what I'm doing. So like, also don't think that you should just come out and throw a shuffle battle, because like, I couldn't have done that alone. You know, like, it's him that makes this possible, because he has been doing this. He knows the culture. He taught me the culture. You know, like, if you don't have prior education and you have not done your own research and you do not put your time in, do not do this.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do this in the right steps. You have to honor the process for sure. But we deserve this. Our dance deserves this. Our culture deserves this. The dance community as a whole deserves this, because shufflers have so much to bring to the table, as far as like, again, this essence of shuffling that lives in the rave, that lives in freedom of expression, that lives in no judgment, no expectation. Like, that part of us has so much to bring to the table and so much to learn from. Like, when I take my all style dancers into the rave and they've never been before, they dance differently. They dance differently than they've ever danced before, because of the level of openness and connection that is just inherently inside of the rave, because we are so different from all different walks of life, all coming together, not caring about our differences, because we are here to freaking dance. And that part of it makes our culture very special. And so, like, to be with that other culture, I watch both minds expand, I watch both worlds expand. Again, I watch the world heal because of that understanding. And it's really, really special.
I want to say 3 things so I don't forget. There are 3. The first one, about what you said about the winner. It's super cool that someone who didn't know that there was a cash prize, and like, because sometimes these kind of prizes drive people a little bit crazy, or they lose, and even though they know they lose, they get angry and maybe they call out, which is like the wrong way of calling out, because it's out of rage and revenge, and it's not about justice or feeling. It's like, oh, I'm angry that I lost, so I want to battle more. Like, I want to prove
because of money.
Yeah. So in Spain, like, there has been some money prizes in some tournaments in a specific, but most of the shuffle tournaments here in Spain haven't had yet cash prizes, and everyone was shuffling all over Spain here, and people from other countries coming to Spain, and there was no cash prize, just a trophy, like a customized, very cool trophy, but there wasn't money. So people was doing it for
love,
for vibing, for getting that experience, for coming together with everyone and to dance and enjoy the dance. So that's really cool. Like, you really need to find this joy in battling without the, like, having the money in mind. Like, it's very cool if there's money, because then people that are really good dancers can start to also get some monetization out of battling too. There's an extra way of making some money out of shuffling, and it's just by dancing. So if you dance, if you train, if you go to classes, if you get information, maybe you'll get rewarded if you perform well the day of the tournament, because people need to know that the tournament, it doesn't tell who's the best dancer, it tells who performed the best that day.
And it's prepared too. Who's the most prepared?
Yeah. And like, we can talk about someone being really good or one of the best if consistently is scoring really good in tournaments, like always into the top 3 or in the finals, like every event this person is there. Like, then you can start to see that this person, it's always here, and every time is stepping a little bit up. But while average people and most of people, it can be over here, this guy is here and giving it all. So that's always also my philosophy. Like, I love battling. I've been in all the battles of shuffle I can. Bad thing that I organized a lot of battling, but that's my mindset. Like, right now I'm always training. There's no tournaments for me in short term, but I know when they come, there's people who's not training, but I'll always be ready. And like, in that like, I'm going to tie up with the 2 things left, what I'm telling you right now. And the second thing is that, please organize battles. I'm also a battle organizer. I want to battle too, so don't just let our battles happen. We want other battles so we can go battle too. We love battling.
Yeah, I'll come to your battles if you come to my battles.
If you if you want me in the battles, you'll have me, but do them. Everyone, if you do battles, you'll have me. And third,
This is a call to action.
call it CDA. Okay, so and the third thing is that you were talking about the team also. That is very important to have a team. You're going to laugh about this, but right now, like I'm on my own right now. Like in the last years, I've been working with people, but pretty much this last year, I've been on my own, doing everything. And right now, I'm organizing an event on my own. So I'm like going in the wild, and like I know it you can work better with people, but at some point, when you're like I'm super exigent with the things that I do, and I want them to be like the best version possible, like that I can afford. Like I don't look for having I don't know, a mega production event if I don't have the budget. So like I don't get any like it's not a setback or a disappointment to me if I can make it like this. But I also like, to me, is everything is about discipline, about I was talking about training and being always there and being prepared, and also for when you organize your projects, even though they can be classes, formations, events, tournaments, meetups, whatever thing. Like if you want, like I want to do a lot of things, and I want to battle. I want to be a really good dancer. I want to teach. I'm teaching currently, and I also want to organize events and go to events and travel. I want to do a lot of things, and it's possible to do all of these things, but you need freaking organization, but crazy. And I'm really working on my discipline, and I can tell you it's so challenging. Like I love it. I love it because I am overcoming a lot of difficult moments of choosing between working or having fun, because having fun, not because it's something that I really want, and I don't permit myself to do it. Like I have my moments of that I don't I can rest, I can just hang out with some friends, but pretty much 95% of my time of the week is in shuffling or on working on myself so I can perform better, and in all the aspects. So it's really, to me, it comes down to how bad do you want the things. Do you really want to be a good event organizer? If someone is hearing and wants to be really good, you need to go to a lot of events and watch events. Not every event, it's impossible to go to all the events, but if you have the chance, go. If you like, participate too, because because I like to participate in battles. I know the experience, and I know what things would I like if I go to battles. So that makes it pretty easy to me to set up a battle and a tournament, thinking on the person that is coming to battle. Like what's their experience going to be like. Like I put myself in this position. I say, if I walk in the event, what I would like to see, where I would like to the event to be, what things there is, there workshops, is there like I start making myself these questions, and this way you can start doing things better. So you want, there are things that require a lot of action and a lot of consistency. And in shuffling, it's crazy because there's no reference. Like you don't have anyone who is leading. Maybe we are the ones who will be leading other people, but we need to be willing to do the work. If not, everything will remain the same until someone else comes out and starts doing things. So just encourage yourself, get out there and learn through the process. Like we are, as you said, you had help, like from people. Like you were seeing other styles, things. Like you're not starting from scratch. You already knew something. So maybe if you can learn from other people before starting, you can maybe avoid some mistakes and take some things better at the first time, instead of failing in these things 3 or 4 times. And
ask questions, ask questions to, like, you or myself or anyone that has been like in battles before who is a shuffler. We do have people in our community that is, but also ask questions to the hip-hop community, ask questions to, like, they're not like scary people, they're just dancers just like us, right? So, like, ask questions, like, do not be afraid to ask questions where you are curious about this world, because this world is its own, and we belong in it, but we need to understand it if we're going to find our footing in it as well. And that's really important too. So love what you just said.
Okay, so let's go with the last thing of the podcast. I always have 2 questions. One is for you, and the other one it will be for me. So, but the first one is to share something. I'm asking you to share something with the community, with the listeners of the Shuffle podcast. Something that you learned recently about shuffling, something that is helping you in your journey or in the last months. It can be a mindset, it can be some step or something that you noticed in dancing. It can be, I don't know, DJ that you like the sound, whatever thing related to the shuffle, festivals, whatever, anything that you learned recently that is helping you.
Okay, so obviously just learned so much having these dancers in my space. I'm going to say 2 things. I would say when I went to California for the first time, intentionally training shuffling, I had heard psytrance before, but I had never tried to move to psytrance. I had a limiting belief that I could not move to psytrance because it was too fast, until I put myself in the FTS studio and psytrance was playing, and I just let go. And what happened to me as a dancer and as a being completely shifted me. Like, whoa, I had no idea about that frequency. I had again so many limiting beliefs on myself. So I would say exploration of different sound, even outside of electronic music, sometimes can like inspire a different dancer in you to come out, and we just, I think, get stuck dancing to what we think we're supposed to be dancing to, or what is like slow enough for us to dance to. So I would say, like, push those boundaries. Like, I get a lot of questions on how do I get faster, how do I get fast enough to like reach these things. Just do it. Do not limit yourself in that style of music, trance, hard style, like faster music as such. Don't limit yourself and explore these places, because just what happens to your movement and what it encourages you to move elsewise. And this kind of piggybacks onto my next concept. Once, like, this is a footwork dance, but once the footwork is in the mind body connection and it's in the muscle memory, we can expand, right? And that's where like our own style gets curated and our upper body gets to come in, and we really start to look like ourselves outside of these strategic moves that we all kind of do, right? So psytrance allowed me that space to explore my dancer, like who am I in shuffling. And it minimized my footwork so that like my upper body could actually do so much more. And that was expanded upon when I got to be in the lab with Lefty. Sky had his lab mentality class for an hour on Sunday, and the way that he talks concepts from toe to head is just expansive. Like, he really is in the lab all of the time. Like, that's where Sky is born and exists, is in the lab mentality. And I think that I'm going to carry that so deeply. Like, I've heard him and seen him for years now. I understand that, but now I understand that to a whole nother level. Like, how can we take shuffling outside of our foundation and expand upon it and like truly innovate the dance, right? Like, and that is like, 1, making it full body, but 2, expanding upon these new concepts of, like, he was doing a lot of tracing of the body, like from the step of the floor, traveling up through the body into a different step, right? Like, it moves through the body. It's not stagnant to the 8 count. It's not like, there's just so much to expand in this dance upon, and however you choose to do that is in your own path, but there's many ways to do that. And I think, I'm just going to say this to anyone that's listening, like there's many ways to intentionally practice. Some people don't set intentions of practice just because they're so in their alignment that they just go dance. But for me, it's important that I know where I'm doing and what I'm at so that I'm not just like aimlessly practicing, right? So like the lab is a special place. It's where you're innovating. It's where you're creating. It's where you're like changing movement that you already know. Where like to me, the session or like a drill session would be like practicing these movements, like drilling, like doing this T-step drill that I've created, right? Like it's really just putting the stuff in your muscle memory so then you can expand upon it. And then you've got free flow where nothing matters. You don't even think. You're not trying to create new concepts. You're not trying to drill. You're not trying to do anything. You're just truly expressing, truly being free. You're trying to escape from like whatever the heck is clogging your vision and brain from like being free. So like those are like for me, those are my three separate like different practices. Sometimes they're all in one. I do them all together in one, and that works too. But like I think being in the lab with Lefty really helped me to expand on like I go in the lab with my all style dancers a lot, but they have so much vocabulary that it's almost intimidating, right? But like to be in the lab with a shuffler that is taking those same all style concepts and applying them to shuffling, I am expanded. I'm so expanded because I now know how to take my style and move it in that direction. And it's been so powerful. And yeah, just learning, just getting to be in space and learning from such talented and insightful people. And his workshop was not the only one that changed me, obviously, but it's one that's going to really stick with me and me in my own practices for sure, big time.
Okay, that's some great things that you were telling us, and I think it will be useful for everyone who's listening. And the last question, as I said, is for me. So you get the chance now to ask anything you want to ask me. This is the time.
Okay. So I have so many questions for you. Like this is not our last conversation. We got so much to talk about now. For everyone that's listening, I've been trying to, we've actually been trying to connect for like, I don't know what, like a month or two at least, trying to like set up conversations that we just like both keep falling out of.
Yeah, we talked last month and we couldn't do it finally. And like the next thing was me texting you, okay, do you want to do the podcast to talk about the battle that you were doing? And
yeah, for sure. So I've been having questions for Marcos that I feel like they deserve actual like time and space to talk like this rather than just like texting him and getting his response that way. So I have a lot to ask you, but I think I want to know right now where you see, so you are innovating your industry out there, big time professionalism, just shuffling in general, and not even just in Spain, but like the whole country watches you, right? Like, sorry, the whole world watches you. They like shuffling is being driven in especially this area by you all out there. So what do you see? I know you said you have an event next, but what do you see expansive wise that comes next for you personally, but also you within your community out there? I know you said that you have this event, but like how is that moving forward? Like where are we going from there?
Well, right now, as I told you, I am my own, so I just have the plans for the things that I'm organizing personally. So I don't know about other organizers in Spain, like Shuffle Showcase or other people who runs events.
So you're separated. Okay, I guess I thought that Shuffle Showcase was just kind of like anymore, but Shuffle Showcase still exists separate from you then.
Yeah. Like it's not something. Okay. So it's something that existed before I joined. I've been 3 years working a lot with. Like I was inside when all these big things were created, so I was also taking a big role on all of these events. And in October 2020, I decided to leave the project. Life situations, personal / professional, like a lot of things were happening, and I just thought that it was the best for my future. It was to work on my own. Like it's not that I will never work with them. It's just day to day I need to work on me and the projects that I want to do. Like they are pretty similar to what we were doing there, because I was like doing pretty much similar things to what I'm doing right now. Like right now I have like more freedom to do some projects or organize myself the way I want or the way it fits me the best. So that's at the point that I'm right now. And coming back to the question, I just see like I already told that in other podcasts that I want to go to the US. Like I want to live in the US, and I have my plans and all the things that I need to do in order to do it. So my plan is just to until like sin when all the time that I have left in Spain, I will keep doing things here. Now because traveling it's very difficult, and with COVID it's not very worth to travel and organize things outside your country. But like when it's open, if I'm not in the like if I haven't moved yet, I also did by my own a workshop on Russia. Like I rented everything and put the people together and did that in Russia on my own, traveled alone, everything alone. We also, with the Shuffle Showcase team, we went to Latin America and we did meetups, workshops, tournaments in 4 countries, always just by ourselves. So I learned that you don't need anything external to do them, to organize, to create things. So I just see that all it takes is an idea and a person, just one person, like one person to execute it, and that's it. If there's more, if they are on the same page and have a lot of things in common and they can work with the same energy and with the same at the same level, then it's okay. But it's not okay being you working like this and other people working like down here and you're working here, because it's crazy and to organize all this. But I just feel that events are going to be massive, and for this to happen, people who organize events needs to project that these events are massive. Like it's not just a little shuffle local event. No, you need to organize an event, and don't hesitate on put for example I don't know, for example Spain Cup or like national tournament or things like big words that people see that and says, ooh, I don't know, like is this real, the national tournament? I don't know, but they see. But if there is no more, if there isn't much more events, it is. If people from all around the country goes, then it has come to reality.
That.
Yeah,
and that's funny that you say that.
When you named it, it wasn't. But when people went, because it was the name, it is.
Was. yeah, for sure. And it's really cool that you say that, because that FTS tournament, did you tune into that? Did you watch that?
No, I knew about it. I watched it a little bit, but I didn't follow the tournament.
So for me, because we didn't have anything of such stature at all, I personally called that nationals. Like, this is the nationals. I come from a cheerleading world where like nationals is nationals. Like, that's where the best of the best go, and that's where like the biggest competition is, right? And at the time, we didn't have any in person. We didn't have anything like that. So like, that was the national competition, in my opinion. It was the most organized. It was like, so like, just that label can tweak so much in somebody's mind, and that is like, to avoid the fear and trying to be humble or to like belittle your own event. Like, no, be loud about it. Like, this was the first organized shuffle battle in the United States. And the second that, like, I didn't know that when I created it at all. I thought it had already been done before, and I just didn't know about it. But when I found that out, you bet your butt, we were like, this is what this is. Like, you got, like, come on, y'all, you know? So it's important. It's important to like talk our talk, but also walk our walk, right? Like, do not talk the talk if you cannot walk the walk. That's a big one too, right? We got to be able to back our stuff up if we're gonna come out here and do stuff like this, which I don't think the wrong people are about to put themselves in this space, because it's a bit, these are pretty big shoes to fill, right? Like stepping into this culture is big, and I think the right people are about to really step up, really step to it. And again, this is a call to action from both me and Marcos. Let's go. Like, it's time.
Yeah.
We're trying to play.
Yeah, long story short about this last topic, just make the noise, make it look like it's big. Like, it's all perception. And if we believe that, if then many people believes that, because how are you marketing the event, and then a lot of people show up, that's huge, because it's like what you were saying is happening. So all it takes is just do it and believe in this, and this is how big events start. People starting and seeing the feedback, and people like this event, or we got full venue last year. Like, we need to expand. We need to get a bigger space. We need to have maybe international judges, because even though it's a national competition, maybe you can have judges from outside, and if more people comes from outside, then it's not national, it's international competition. So it just takes do it, and like, no shame on trying, and of having a little event at the beginning. It's just like, we can't pretend to have like these huge events like Just the Boot, or I love this dance, or Summer Dance Forever, like this. Like, these people started right from the bottom.
And if you don't, hey, if you're watching this and you just heard what he said and you don't know what he's saying, like, Google real quick. Just Google and like look up the potentials of what this world can be, and then you look at, like you said earlier, what if that was all shufflers? What if this felt like a rave? What if it felt like,
just imagine a stage like this, or a dance floor like this, all shufflers, a production like Summer Dance or Just the Boot. It's crazy. Like, I look for that in the future, but to do that,
it's
like,
coming. It's coming.
I need to walk the way. So, but I need to do it. Like, the sooner I start, the sooner you start, the sooner we all start, the sooner we'll have that. So it's just a matter of time.
And it truly is believing in ourselves, believing in our community, and believing in our vision, full on supporting it, so that we can pull everyone into it, right? Because look at what our community is. Look at what a festival just is in general. It is intentional healing. It is intentional connection. Like, our community really like does statured events. Now imagine that type of stature in this essence of battling and learning and growing in this way specifically. Like, we got so much to expand towards. It's really beautiful.
It's been great talking to you, Chelsee.
Yes.
For ending the podcast, I always let the guest say whatever they want for closing the podcast. So it's been great talking to you. You'll have everything in the description about Chelsee, her socials, the socials of the shuffle battle. If you want to check posts or videos, are videos being posted on the Instagram or YouTube, or are battles coming out?
They will be. We had a professional videographer there, so she got like 128 gigs of video throughout the whole weekend. So we're gonna have to wait a little bit for all of that to process, and like her to clean it up and get us stuff. But there definitely will be. We'll be sharing some stuff as we go through the weeks. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be on there. Honestly, Marbiik, this has been like super, super, super incredible. I think just having organic conversations like this for the public to come, again, this is education. Like, you can come in here and learn a lot about this culture and this world just through the conversation we just had. And hopefully it leaves people inspired to go dig a little deeper and to go like, yeah, what can I do to help this movement move forward, right? And so this is just really important, and I can't thank you enough for just being a leader in the community, for pushing the dance forward, for inviting people such as myself and all of the guests that you've had already to speak on our dance and to come together, because the more we unify and to clarify, to define, to like step into the professionalism together, the louder the whole dance gets, and the more we can set example for like where we're trying to go and what we're trying to do. So it's very special. You're very special. Thank you so much for having me. And like, honestly, if I can leave anyone with anything, it's just to keep your why at the head of what you're doing, because the second you lose your why and your intention, that's when things start to get a little messy. But keeping your why for whatever the heck you're doing, even if it's just for your own personal dance, that why stays at the foot and head of everything that you're doing in your movement. So thank you so much. I have so much gratitude, and I am very, very humbled to even be talking to you right now on here.
Thank you for coming. That's it for the Shuffle Podcast episode 11. Thank you for listening, and see you next week in the next podcast. Bye.